Welcome back to Media Week. Well, in the past week, 10 has held its winter season program launch and revealed the details of its much anticipated foray back into breakfast television. Well, our co-host, James Manning from Media Week, was there. Now, James, we just heard from Evan Lucas about those two networks, and the big dynamic is advertising. You spoke to the 10 network chief, Hamish McLennan. What did he have to say about that?
Yeah, look, he realises that they've been seriously underperforming. They had all the advertising executives from all the major agencies along there last week to sort of roll out some content that they hope will start to get that ad share lifting a little bit.
All right, and here is Hamish McLennan at that event and his comments on advertising.
Look, we've got internal forecasts that we don't share with the market, but what you would have seen from May to June was the slight uptick, so at least it's heading in the right direction. Again, we've got very ambitious plans for the network, but it's steady as she goes for us. We've got to build our programming pipeline, get the ratings up so we can get the revenue. That just takes time.
And while at the event, James Manning also spoke with 10's Adam Boland. Here's that interview for you right now.
Will Wake Up take existing viewers away from Sunrise today, or are you more likely to get people who've been bypassing breakfast TV?
I think there is genuinely an appetite for a new conversation. I think if you look at Sunrise and Today, I think they're both very good established shows, clearly, but they are very similar. They are similar products, and I think even, I saw one of the Today Show hosts recently concede that point. The colour palette is even the same. So, for us, even before we got to the chemistry of the presenters and the content, clearly paramount, we wanted to work out how can we make these shows physically look different. The Beach House does that, as does the fact our newsreader, Nuala, who's, by the way, I think one of the great untapped talents of TV, she'll be reading the news every single day from a glass studio in Melbourne. So you're integrating our two biggest markets straight away. We physically look different. Where are we taking audience from? I want to grow the TV market at breakfast, just like we did with Sunrise back in 2001. I think that's important. I think, the passion levels, I don't know what you think. You study the media. From my read is the passion levels of breakfast TV aren't as big as they were, say, 4 or 5 years ago. I think some people have gone back to radio. I think some people have, mums have surrendered control of the remotes. The kids' TV's on the rise again. So I think we can pull audience again back from radio, grow the overall TV audience, which is good for everyone. Clearly we're all competitors, but I genuinely want to present something that's fresh and a new conversation, and I think there's an appetite for it.
Adam, you brought across a couple of colleagues from 7. You've ended up most of your talent sort of from 10 or existing 10 connections. Are you happy with that?
We were really open-minded when I went into this. So we did 2 weeks of casting, essentially, chemistry tests. And, as you know, chemistry is the key to breakfast. If you get that wrong, you have no show. Really simple stuff. So I was really open-minded going into that week. We tested people from 7. We tested people from 9. We tested people from 10. Big names, people not so much, and really, by the end of the week, it was absolutely clear to me that those 2 girls, Tash and Tash, were absolutely going to be part of the lineup. And going into it, I've got to say, I had no intention of casting 2 girls with a guy. The 3 of those are equal hosts, and then you add Nuala on with news out of Melbourne. They were not people who, if you'd said to me at the start of the week, would these people be your hosts, I would have said, A, I don't know, but B, probably unlikely. Take the straitjackets off those girls and something really interesting happens. They just complement each other so well. They are so genuinely exciting. And, to me, that was the most important thing. So there were some significant names that we turned down. But you know what?
Who were they?
I would love to tell you, James. I'll tell you after a few drinks later tonight. But, it was, I think, really... I liked the fact that we found the people outside my office at Channel 10. If you think back to the early days of Sunrise, something similar happened. We found our host of Sunrise in the newsroom at Channel 7. So there's a little bit of history repeating. But most of all, I genuinely just wanted to find people who got on with each other and had different viewpoints. So when we do the conversation, it seems natural. And these guys do that.
When Lachlan Murdoch first talked about 10 having a crack at breakfast TV, he talked about getting a slice of the $100 million ad pie. How commercially aware are you on both programs?
I'm a commercial TV producer. I ran the morning show for how many years, so I'm aware of it. But the reality is I take the view, it's a really simple one. If you make a product that consumers want to watch, then people will want to buy in the space as well. So one thing leads to another. You just get the content right. That makes everyone happy. That makes viewers happy. That makes the sales department happy. My job's just to generate good content. If I do that, the other stuff will fall into place.
I presume your original deal was with James Warburton. Were you concerned at all when there was a change of chief executive?
James and I are mates, and James was the one who opened the conversation, but we never struck a deal. I was actually, when I left Channel 7, my plan, quite genuinely, was to get on a plane and go to Vanuatu and see my mum. She's been asking me to come and sit on the beach with her for quite a while. She lives over there. And on the day I was due to get on the plane to go, Hamish, who you just spoke to, asked me to come into 10. He was about to get on a plane to go to New York. And he said, look, just come in for a chat. I went in, I met him, I met Beverly, I met Anthony, and I met Russell. By the end of that meeting, I'd shaken his hand. I was so impressed by this guy. His understanding of brands, his understanding of connection with an audience, and most of all, he didn't blink when I said some really crazy things like, hey, what do you think of doing a breakfast show at a beach live every day? He thought, great. And that level of enthusiasm, the fact that he positioned a breakfast show as a front door to a network and part of the brick-by-brick proposition of rebuilding a network, struck a chord with me. I made a determination right then that I would be going to Channel 10, and I'm really, really pleased I made that call.
The mechanics of the show, is it 6:30, 8:30? What's the...
It's around that time.
So you haven't revealed the time slot
I can confirm it's a breakfast show. I can't. I know. You know what? Because there's a little bit going on. But what I can say, I think the audience watching breakfast TV before 7 a.m. is different to the audience watching after 7 a.m. and different again to the audience watching after 8 a.m. So you're almost building 3 different shows to suit, who's watching when. I think breakfast TV is more dictated by lifestyle than any other genre. So producers need to be conscious of that. I think when you see our schedule, it's reflective of that attitude.
And that was Adam Boland there from Network 10. Now, James, just confirm for us, the show has a name but no launch date yet.
Correct. It's going to be called Wake Up,
right,
which I didn't actually know when I did that interview, but because it had just come out there and then. And, it's going to be at the beach.
Really, at a beach?
No launch date yet, because they're waiting on some... I don't think they've got the final council approval yet.
Right.
I think they've got it in sort of general that's going to be okay. And there's waiting on some cabling. I think it's Telstra cabling or something to connect them up to the studio.
And which beach?
Manly.
Manly Beach. There we go. Where it's sunny all the time, we hope, for Network 10. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and then coming up on Media Week, Australia's biggest publisher may be reducing some of its titles. We'll have more on that story next.